Looking now at the national races, the House here in South Texas. Bob, this is what you said you were going to be watching throughout the night. These counties here, we're kind of calling them a sandwich here. 1, 2, 3, very competitive races. What are we seeing down here?
I think we're seeing what we pretty much expected. Henry KHOU, who was a very conservative Democrat and barely got through his own primary, is winning pretty handily against what is the first time Hispanic woman running against on the Republican ticket. In the other race, we saw Gonzalez, who also was an incumbent congressman who switched districts after the Republicans redrew.
Because of redistricting,
he moved out of an old district that had not been drawn and is in a more favorably Democratic district. He also is winning by about
that play out here. That's the far right county on the border.
But this one right here has Vallejo against De La Cruz, and that's a much closer race. De La Cruz got herself a district that was clearly better for Republicans. Looks like she's going to win by maybe 3 or 4 points. A little bit early, but we're almost got half the vote in. What do we say here? This is a crack. Democrats have been solidly in the majority in these counties, and I think what you're beginning to see with some very creative redistricting are Republicans making inroads.
And I'm going to take it back to our Texas map here, and we can talk about the border. Back in 2018, the border blew there in 2018.
Yes, solidly blue. And again, this is what gave Beto a good race. As I said, the best any Democrat's done in 25 years.
2.9 percentage points. I had to remind myself, that was very incredibly close.
Well, as close as you can get in terms
of 25 years. Yeah.
Votes matter, but the important point now is in 2020, we're seeing that Beto's running about the same. Again, it's too early to say, but now we're getting close to a third of what we think is the voter turnout. We have not seen the turnout from some of these smaller but more numerous counties. But I'm beginning to think that what we're going to see here is a bigger spread between the governor, lieutenant governor, AG, ag commissioner.
And real quick, Bob, this is Harris. New numbers from Harris County. Beto O'Rourke, 62%. Greg Abbott, 37%.
This is mostly probably mail-in voting right now. It's not even the early vote. But what I think is important here in Harris County is if Beto starts running at or about where he was in 2018, he'll pull up what is otherwise a very close race, I think, for the rest of the county races. I think the story here is Abbott's not doing all that much better than I would have expected Beto to do, let's say, against Cruz in 2018. If that's the case, what happens down ballot? Are weaker candidates, particularly like Paxton, let's look over there, there's a 2-point difference here, and I think, in fact, that's a 1-point difference.
Yeah. To Garza's 48%.
And what's important here is this. That vote for Paxton is close to 400,000 votes less than the governor's getting. That means there are Republicans going in and voting for Greg Abbott, maybe even Dan Patrick, and kind of saying, I can't vote for Paxton, I could vote for Ash, but I'm surely not going to vote for Garza. But as we all know, if you don't vote for Paxton, you're voting for Garza.
So a much tighter race here.
And that makes a tighter race.
Also for the lieutenant governor's race, Patrick ahead, but again,
this is much too early. This is early.
Sure.
And we don't have what we know to be really strong Republican areas in the West Texas area. These numbers might, crescendo. Just remember that 4 years ago, the governor won by 13 points. He won by even bigger against Wendy Davis.
20 points.
But all Republicans at the top of the ticket since 2012 have seen their margins get smaller and smaller. That, I think, is simply the inevitability of Republicans looking for voters that are not there, that are no longer, how can we say this, alive. And that's why right tonight, Governor Babbitt is down in Hidalgo County, where he thinks Republicans can make big inroads with Hispanic voters on social issues, economic, immigration, and crime.
Right now, O'Rourke leading there with the early vote. We'll send it back to you.